And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and of course, I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken, the better half of GI. Tyler, how are you tonight?
Well, I know this is going to be a great episode. You popped me, and we are exactly 18 seconds in. I did not expect that from you. I don't know if that's true, but I thank you, my friend, for your kind words. I'm doing well. What a busy day at the shoe job, wrestling-wise, entertainment-wise. Brad, I'm really excited for this episode. How are you, my dude?
I'm doing great, man. Later on in the show, because I know you were like early day Premier Jones on Nope, and I was, and I went opening night, so I feel really good about it. Yes. We are going to get into Nope later on in the podcast. For those of you who have not seen the film, I will warn you, Tyler will warn you, stop here, bookmark, save it until you've seen it, and then hop back in because we have some thoughts. We have some questions. But first, we have thoughts about one, Vincent Kennedy McMahon stepping down after 50 years in the business, 50 plus years in the business. So whenever 1979, I believe, was the year that he founded Titan Sports. So he has been in control of WWE, WWF, WWF, partially the NWA for a while, some of the AWA. He's been all over the place, gobbling up territories and creating this giant behemoth of a wrestling company over the span of 35 years. And today he announced his retirement earlier in the day, right around 2 p.m. Arizona time. And Tyler, when I was over at my in-laws' house today, dropping off Freya so that she could enjoy time with grandparents while Jess and I went to go see Nope. By the way, shout out to Roadhouse Cinemas. The Southwestern fries were great as always. And I got a Bavarian pretzel.
Ooh.
Amazing.
Can you believe I've never been there? It's
shocking to me.
I spent 10 years in Tucson, multiple opportunities to go to this theater.
You have one up by you, so just go to Scottsdale or something.
I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Harkins Jones. That's me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does it have recliner seats?
You know it does.
Then you're good.
We would accept nothing less.
Yes, I'm too picky now. Even the AMC has been upgraded over at the Foothills, so we'll do that.
Foothills Mall. You know, I love that place. I still think if we don't do, you know what? I'll tell you this. On a previous episode, I think we spoke. Yeah. We spoke about investing in a a trampoline park for adults who wanted to become wrestlers, but never did. I think you and I need to put our life savings together, resurrect Foothills Mall in Tucson, and just make it a huge trampoline park for said adults. High chance of failing within the first year, but I would have an absolute blast.
Low chance of starting. The life savings, my friend, I'm sitting in it right now.
Yeah.
There's none of that on the way.
I'm not sure what our combined amount. I know our combined weight, thanks to Alf Bergerson, voice of
our combined amount. I can tell you, if I give you all of the money I have in savings, will be less than our combined weight. Like that's.
I'm going to stop there. Please continue your great opening here.
I don't know what the hell I was saying. Oh, yes.
Vince McMahon. Dude's been in the game for a long time.
Yeah. So I was over dropping him off, getting ready. And it dawned on me, the announcement on Twitter came shortly after the stock market closed for the day on a Friday.
Yes.
I feel like this was absolutely a strategic move to protect shareholders heading into the long weekend. Bell closed, so investors might get spooked because of this, but they're going to have the weekend to sit on it. Be interesting to see what happens on Monday with WWE shares. If they go up, if they drop, will they level out? It'll be interesting to see what happens in the public sector in terms of the ramifications. But we have other things to talk about. We get to talk about what we think it's going to be going forward. But Tyler, what were your initial thoughts today as Vince announces his retirement after this long, basically our entire lifetimes?
Yeah, it was so surreal. So I was at the job. I was at my desk and took a moment to scroll through Twitter. The Twitter chats were blowing up, by the way, Brad. Listeners, viewers may have heard us say that we are a part. This is a total flex by us. We are a part of several different group chats. It's a little overwhelming on days like these, in the best way possible, because you and I love thinking about discussing anything involving wrestling. You and I are down. So I saw my phone blowing up, and I saw the tweet from Vince. 77 years old. It's time to retire. Then, now, forever together, which has been his new slogan. So immediately shocked. Not that. On one hand, we knew this day had to come one way or another. The man is 77. This controversy, he is not new to controversies, Brad, but this latest controversy, seemed like it was going to, in one way or another, whether by his choice or someone else's, it was going to usher him out of his current role. But to see him tweet that he is retiring, I mean, just... I think you and I have been in agreement that the only way Vince was going to leave is if you take his positions from his cold, I don't want to say dead, right? Because we don't wish down anyone, but someone would literally have to pry it from him and take his CEO status away. He wasn't just going to walk off into the sun. I was shocked, and I know we'll get into this and probably spend a few minutes on it. I was so curious to see what the reaction was going to be online, because I think as a wrestling community, we've really felt a way about the accusations that have come up against him. And we've been very pro the accusers and pro believing women. And so to me, it seemed like a lot of the community was still very much in the good riddance, like, hey man, what you've done here is pretty unspeakable and not okay, creating this environment for women. Like, it turns out the on-screen character of Vince McMahon is actually maybe possibly the real life guy.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it seemed like part of us were still, this guy's got to get out of here. Good riddance, goodbye. But then the nostalgia started creeping in, and the tweets from wrestlers and fans alike of praise and gratitude for him, and thank you for what you've done for this business. And if there was one person that you would give credit to for moving the business to where it is now, I mean, undoubtedly the first person 100%. You think of. Yeah. And so it very much felt to me like the conflicting feelings you see when someone passes away, when a celebrity or someone of this stature dies, and then you talk about their complicated legacy. It seemed like that was happening immediately right in front of my very eyes. So I'm still processing clearly, and I'm still working through my own thoughts, Brad, which again, I know we'll get into when we discuss what happened on SmackDown. But initial shock, not sure how to feel about it, not sure how much credit to give him for him bringing me into loving all of this, because I was a huge consumer of this product when I was a kid. So yeah, man, that's probably a lot for you to take in. I'm conflicted about this one. What was your initial? What were your initial feelings when you saw the tweet? And I'm sure you probably filed the discourse that immediately happened.
So for those of you that haven't seen the tweet, it was at 77, time for me to retire. He wrote it kind of like a poem, which I thought was weird.
And the man used hashtags as well.
Yes, that was the first line. The next line, thank you, WWE Universe. The next line, then, now, forever together. Hashtag WWE. Hashtag thankful. So I find a couple of things interesting here looking at this. I had to pull it up so that I got the words right. His banner. I don't know how long his banner has been like this on Twitter. Have you seen it?
I was just going to look it up right now. No.
So have you seen Daredevil on Netflix?
No,
or Disney Plus? First of all, what are you doing? Go watch Daredevil. Second of all, season 1's not as good as season 2. Season 2 is amazing, but Vincent D'Onofrio is incredible as Wilson Fisk, the kingpin of crime. and he finds this painting, Rabbit in a Snowstorm, which is essentially a white painting, just white with some texture on it. And I'm looking at Vincent's picture here. I just called him Vincent. I think I just said Vincent D'Onofrio and then made Vince McMahon Vincent. I'm looking at Vincent's picture here, and Vincent has a banner that's just a plain white wall. It's just blank. Does this man see himself as the kingpin of wrestling? I have questions now because of this, and it's just a very strange thing, or it's just nothing at all, and he just wanted some texture there because he wanted to be in front of what may be a marble wall. But it looks like, to me, I can't tell what it is. It looks like crappy
I can see it
stucco.
now. Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
I had not seen that.
I don't remember it being there like that before. I thought it was some WWE stuff, and now it's just that. Maybe he's saying I'm a blank slate. Maybe it's a clean slate is what he's showing there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That dude does nothing by accident. I don't think we could talk about Vince without talking about how brilliant he is. Is he a scumbag based on all of these allegations? Yeah. We've known this for decades. The line that went on during these steroid trials, the weird reaction to some pretty simple questions by Bob Costas, and thereby negating all interviews going forward. That I always thought that was really strange. Because Costas had legitimate questions, and it was like, "Who do you think you are?" It's like, well, he's Bob Costas is who he thinks he is.
Yeah, it's just a general how you treat people. Like, I know
Yeah.
there was high entertainment value,
Mhm.
but also why you got to treat Bob Costas that way? The man was
Yeah.
just asking some journalistic questions, as you said.
So I had two reactions. My initial reaction was processing all of the legal stuff and everything outside of the wrestling. Because what sucks here is that this is happening outside of sports entertainment or wrestling, and it's about him and his personal life, which we do this with professional athletes all the time. We get into their personal life, and I always felt kind of gross about this, but this is different because he is the employer. And then it's not like, oh, this person who's married that's on the Knicks slept with some Instagram model. I don't give a shit. Like, what you do in your private life, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anybody but maybe your family. That's none of my business, and I don't care. But this dude is a CEO of a publicly traded entity, treating employees like dirt, and doing the mishandling of power over them if the allegations are proven to be true. And it sounds like they are. You can't sign an NDA if it's not true. So I just find this something's coming. I don't know who's putting it out there, and maybe there was an agreement behind the scenes saying, "Hey, we won't put out whatever this big thing is if you simply agree to step down now." But there's no way that stays hidden for long, right? Like, there's no way.
Right. I mean, this we've already established this, particularly with what you just said. There is no universe, if you will, if I may use that word. There is no universe in which Vince McMahon sends out that tweet if that Wall Street Journal article didn't come out. I mean, the succession of events that have led to this, man, it's just if those women or his accusers were not brave enough to, or I don't even think the women came forward. It was a friend of an accuser apparently spoke with the Wall Street Journal. Had that conversation not happened, Brad, had that article not been written, I think this would have played out extremely differently. It would have been business as usual. Vince is running the show. He's going to run the show until he's on his deathbed. I think it's what a time we live in now. You know, like you said, we've known some of these allegations about how Vince allegedly treats some of the women he employs. Again, it was total on-screen character, right? For damn near all of the Attitude Era. But to learn that this is true and in 2022, man, that's just not going to fly for the general public. And like you said, and you brought up so astutely on previous episodes here, because they are a publicly traded company, that just adds more layers to this. And you know, if you are the face of the company, if you're the head of the company, and these allegations are being levied against you, and they they seem to be more and more credible. Even the great, the almighty, the powerful Vince McMahon is not immune to this. We don't live in a world anymore where that can just fly. Even Vince got the boot, Brad. Like, can you, like, I know we already are aware of this, but can you just process that Vince McMahon actually sent out the retirement tweet today?
No, it still doesn't seem real. I still feel like he's going to come out on Monday and like Ministry of Darkness garb and be like, it was me. It was me all along.
Oh, I worked you, pal. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the man killed himself on TV for us. Total limousine on fire.
Yeah, but that storyline died the next day. You remember the next show? What it was?
No. I know he was alive.
Well, he didn't die. The reason they killed the storyline is he had to come out. The next show after him being blown up was so he could address Chris Benoit.
Oh,
like
wow.
There's some shit that has happened under his tenure, and we can't say for sure that none of it's his fault. Like that's the thing that's so icky. And the other part of this though is after that and going forward from there, you can't say that WWE doesn't have the best wellness policy in all of professional sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, because even former employees that are from other companies use the WWE's wellness policies and wellness programs to get treatment, to recover from substance use, to get help maybe with potential CTE. They play it safe with people. I think Samoa Joe wasn't cleared to wrestle, and now he's wrestling in other places. So I don't know how much of that was, no, you're not cleared, or no, the risk is too great, or just, no, we don't have anything for you. But it's and we don't really know what Samoa Joe's health issues are, to be fair. But man, like he it's sort of like looking like the hero, like pushing somebody off the building and then using your superpower to catch them and save them in front of an audience so people can go, oh my God, you just saved that person's life. It's like, yeah, but you're the reason they were dying in the first place. So it's complicated, right?
Well, that was going to be my question to you. I know there's many facets or chapters that we want to touch on. I guess I just want to go right into the legacy question for you then. What do you think is, and again, we're speaking as if he's passed away, but he's not.
His career
but professionally, this appears to be it for him in this capacity. What is Vince McMahon's legacy to you, Brad? All things considered, from your first introduction to him all the way till today, as that tweet was tweeted.
Let me ask you your first thoughts. I'm going to say a name here, trying not to get too political, but George Bush.
I immediately think of 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
And two different, all things considered, with 9/11, the immediate response, I would argue, did pretty well. Contrast that with Hurricane Katrina, in which I would argue he did not do well.
There's still homes complicated, rotting somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
So
and if that happened in Stamford, Connecticut, response is probably looking a little bit different up there. If a massive,
I think here's my point. After he was done, his 2 terms were up, and America's embroiled in a war, blah blah blah. We have Obama gets elected, and when his 2 terms are up, right toward the end of them, people had a different view of George Bush. Not everybody, but we're looking at his presidency through a little bit of rosy glasses. So today, up on gimmickinfringementpod.com, I wrote another piece I've been wanting to do forever, that George Lucas and Vince McMahon had similar trajectories.
So good. And you hit me with that by surprise as well. Yeah. That was one of the numerous surprises today, is you sent it to me. And I forget your exact, I'm going to pull up the text. I have the receipts. You said, you just dropped it on me so humbly. You said, hold on, what is it? This was a great piece, by the way, gimmickinfringementpod.com, Vince and George, magnificent. you typed, "Okay, dude, did it?" Oh no, okay. I'll leave some fit behind the curtain, but okay, dude. I had to sort of just put this out immediately. You were very humble again about it. And you said, if you see something, like, let me know. I hope there's no typos. And of course it was flawless because it's you. But you just dropped it on me, man. And I read that and I said, this is one of my favorite pieces he's ever written. You've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, for a while.
It's been in production, like you wrote in the article, for some time. I love it. Check it out.
Well, dude, it's been a journey getting here, because I told you I lost all of that. It was graduation.
You include that in the first paragraph as well.
Yes, I had to.
We've all been there.
Well, here's the thing with it. It's thinking about George Lucas and the prequels. We look at the prequels now and they're like, oh, those were actually really good. We really like those. Why? Because people didn't really like the newer trilogy as much. Like, because it's not as good. It didn't have that same spirit that Lucas, I guess, instilled, because those are his babies. Lucas created those things. I don't mind the new trilogy. I actually think it's entertaining as hell. I hate Rise of Skywalker for a variety of reasons, but I like the drama within it and I like the character interactions. That's not really the point. The point is those movies came out and suddenly the prequels looked pretty good. Sure. So that was 99, I think, when episode 1 came out. That's a long time between that movie and this. And what happened in between then? We got spin-offs. We have cartoons to fill in the blanks, which, by the way, the Clone Wars TV show rules. We had all this stuff to sort of fill. And now that legacy looks better. What happens next is going, I think, to dictate how we view Vince McMahon, because going forward, if creatively or the health of the company or whatever starts taking a big fat shit, then do we look at Vince as this transcendent godlike figure in the wrestling world? Because some people do now. There's very cult-like behavior online. It's kind of freaking me out. Like a lot. I love me some AEW, but if Tony Khan does some shady stuff, we're gonna call him on his bullshit, like we did with Swole. It was stupid. So I don't know, man. This is not that. Tony's not, as far as we know, not doing NDAs and going, oh, you don't want to sleep with me? Fine. Take this pay cut and head back down to the mailroom. Like, that doesn't seem to be a thing that's happening here, but he gave us WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble. Really, Pat gave us the Royal Rumble, but it was Vince's show.
Yeah. Pat Patterson, not Pat McAfee, for
yes,
younger viewers.
Absolutely going banana. Chris Jericho gave us Money in the Bank. That was his match idea, not pay-per-view idea, but match idea. So it's not all on Vince, but Vince, kind of like the presidency, is the one we point to when things go right. It's also the one we point to when things go wrong. It's just in this case, if things go wrong, it is Vince, because he had total control of every aspect of every show, of every brand. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how this works going forward. And as far as I know, Bruce Pritchard will be communicating with Vince, especially early on, about how the show should look and how they're going and yada, yada. And I just wonder if Bruce is going to be sitting there with like one earpiece connected to Vince and one like connected to Michael Cole and Kevin Dunn, trying to figure stuff out.
Right.
While texting or something. Like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Well,
who goes in Gorilla?
That's a valid question to bring up. If Vince is publicly stepping down or stepping away, whichever verbiage you want to use, does that truly mean that he is gone?
Yeah.
Because I think everyone's perception today has been no, he's actually gone now. This isn't him, stepping away as the face, but actually working behind the scenes with booking, with this, that, and the other. It would appear that he's hands are off, and I know we'll get to this in a moment. Perhaps the WWE product looks and feels much different from here on, which I think led my partner and my co-host and many other fans to feel a lot of excitement.
Yeah, I'm really stoked about what this will mean. It's not even that. So it's so complicated when talking about Vince. Dude, Vince made me love wrestling. He was the best bad guy. I don't care if Hollywood Hulk Hogan existed at the time. He wasn't even close to VKM. I hated Hogan because I hated his overacting. It's like watching Buff Shatner out there. Like, it's just
Even like in the throes of Hulkamania?
No, that was okay.
Okay.
That whole time was like that, though.
Okay.
You take him out of that and stick him into like the mid and late 90s. It's like, ugh, nobody wants to see that. I'm just gonna be more gravelly than I used to be, brother. And that's kind of it. And then he would just do heel shit and that's it. For those of you that couldn't hear me looking around, that's what I was doing.
I don't know. We are on YouTube, 19 Media Group. I don't know that I've heard or seen your Hogan impression before. That was a nice surprise.
I've literally never done that before in my life. But it's so frustrating because it's like Vince was a great heel. The problem is he is a great heel.
Yeah, it's a shoot. Yes. We've learned. Brad, you don't know how much willpower it takes for me to not sing "No Chance in Hell." Like even when he made that abhorrent SmackDown. I don't know if you would even call it a speech. Again, just compare how we feel now.
Welcome to SmackDown.
With not even 2 to 3 weeks ago when he gave the welcome to SmackDown, then now together, and then reportedly, allegedly goes in the back and says, "Fuck them, fuck them all." Mm-hmm. Like there's no, this dude does not appear, if reports are true, these alleged actions, he does not seem remorseful at all, which I think would lead me to feel differently about him if there was some acknowledgement of, I've done wrong, I need to be better, I'm 77, I've lived a full life, but like I did some wrong here. Instead, Brad, allegedly he goes to the back right after that. First of all, why is the man even on TV? We don't need to relitigate this. We went over it. But my point is, it took everything in me even then to still not sing "No Chance in Hell." Because again, great on-screen character, right? A lot of nostalgia.
Great song too.
Great song. But Brad goes in the back. Fuck them all. Presumably to his accusers and anyone against him. It's very much. We're not a political podcast, but it's very much the. I think you and I feel comfortable saying this, the Donald Trump cult of personality in all the worst ways, not the baller CM Punk song. Mm-hmm. It's just very much, again, like you said, being built as this godlike figure, and to a lot of people, you can do no wrong. Yeah. Any accusations against you and your ethics, it's wrong. It's just people trying to bring you down because, damn it, they hate successful men. Mm-hmm. You know, the legacy question is I think so difficult and so layered with him, because you and I don't know if I've asked you this directly, but how does your love for wrestling compare to our major sports in the United States? Because for me, I love basketball so much. My love for wrestling is just a different, I would even say deeper passion. So where is wrestling for you compared to how much I know you love football, et cetera?
No, it's one. It's not even close.
I don't think I've ever asked you this before.
No. Well, if you would have asked me before the pandemic, I probably would have said, well, wrestling wouldn't even been on the list.
I was gonna say it's tied for fifth with I don't know, lacrosse or something.
Oh, absolutely not. No, it would have been wrestling would have been down Rugby. There, but I probably would have gone like football, basketball, hockey, wrestling, baseball.
Wow. It's really ascended.
Yeah, it's wrestling several gaps on the line. So you can say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but if 1 is 100 points and 2 is 50, and then it's 40, 30, 20, like there's still a gap there.
What is it about wrestling that puts it so clearly above those other ones for you?
Number one, there's no off season. Number two,
thank God, by the way, Gimmick Infringement here 12 months a year, 365.
Yeah. Number two, it's. Do you like multiplayer games?
No, not really.
You like fighting games, sports games, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I'd rather just play me versus the CPU on easy or moderate mode, preferably.
Agreed. I can't stand those things anymore. I used to be able to play them. I can't do them. Fighting games, I'm absolutely going to shell out $5 at some point for the WWE game this year, and I'll probably get the AEW game.
Not you can remove probably from that statement.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I think I know you well enough. I think you are willing to drop 60 bones on that. We'll say it's for Freya.
Sitting in my savings. Sitting in my savings right now.
We'll say it's for Freya. We'll invite her to the opening multi-hour process of it. But I know you're saving for it. It's gonna rule. Yes.
If they can make it more like WCW versus NWO, so cool. All in. THQ City. So the reason I ask you this is the reason that I struggle with those is I need a story. I have to have a storyline. I need to have a consistent storyline, not just, his friend was arrested this week and let's see if it affects his QBR. I don't give a shit. Like, I used to care a lot about that stuff. And now it's like, where we're really reaching here. Can we just talk about who's better? It's part of the reason I like AEW. It's hey, there's a ranking system. Do they ignore it? Yes, constantly. Or FTR would be in matches every week for the titles. But that being said, the variety is compelling. You watch women's basketball. I think you're an exception. I watch it if I see it on, but I don't necessarily. Yes. But I don't necessarily go out of my way to find it. But I'm not going out of my way to find any basketball unless it's playoffs.
Sure.
If it's and if it's on, it's on. I don't have that kind of passion anymore for it. I would rather watch old wrestling matches to kind of learn about the history of the business, or watch a podcast or whatever, or sit down and we haven't watched any of the new season of Westworld yet. I've been dying to watch that. We flew through a couple of different things. Miss Marvel was great on Disney Plus. Obi-Wan was great on Disney Plus. What else did we fly through recently? Iron Chef came back on Netflix. That ruled.
I saw that. I saw your tweets about it.
Oh, so good because it's so over the top and ridiculous. That kind of competition I can hang with because it's like, I know the stakes. I know it's real. I know it's subjective, but I know it's real. So like, it's why I couldn't watch Survivor. I couldn't watch any of that stuff. It's just because I know it's all scripted for the most part.
Are you saying The Bachelorette?
100%. But
Gimmick Infringement Pod.com episode 2 winners.
Absolutely check it out, please. I think the way that I think about that is they probably Blair Witch it. I don't really know how they make the sauce, but with Blair Witch, they knew they had roles and stuff, but every morning they would wake up with a slip of paper saying, "This is what happened today." Like, you lost your map. So I can't find the map. And then everybody has to react around that kind of thing. I kind of feel like it's like, hey, today you want to just be kind of a dickhead.
Sure. That seems reasonable.
Yeah. And then generally unscripted after that. But wrestling is very much like that. Only when there's beef, they beat the shit out of each other. Like, it's all of those things you want to see in real life, but they get to do it.
And sometimes with
get in the ring.
Sometimes with barbed wire microphones.
Oh,
we'll get to that on the next episode of Gimmick Infringement.
Just god awful. Yeah. So I guess the legacy that Vince left behind here is he popularized something that wasn't popular. It was dwindling, it was dying, it was disappearing, and then he saved it. He resuscitated it, only to have it dwindle and die again. And then he saved it and resuscitated it. The late 80s, early 90s were a bad time for pro wrestling. And then WCW got picked up by Turner. They started losing that battle, and they were running low on cash. They were not nearly as successful. There were some times where you watch some of those like Razor Ramon matches. I think that Razor Sean Waltman match, I can't remember where that was. It's either in New York or Pittsburgh or something, but it's in a small arena. I mean, it was like 5,000 to 7,000 tops.
This was from Monday Night Raw. Yeah.
This is Monday Night Raw, earlier in the Raw.
Right. It's pretty startling when you look at it now.
It was pre-Attitude, but the edge of Attitude, right? Like, it was right at the beginning of that, but they still had that like shiny gold WWF logo, but they weren't quite there yet. And you watch that and you're like, okay, the production value kind of sucks. It's very bright in there, and you can see all the wood paneling, and their entrance is super small. It looks like it did in the early 80s. And they would just come out and wrestle a match. Flash forward 5 years or so from there, the Titantron, because of course you're going to name it after yourself, Titan Sports. The Titantron is up, and it's Raw's War, and there's pyro, and there's all this stuff. Then it gets copied by WCW, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That brought it back. That became more of a spectacle. That was his idea. That was him risking. And then it starts taking a dump after he acquires WCW. But it is a very entrenched fan base. Boom, publicly traded. Now it's there forever. It's part of the, I don't even know what you would call it, the culture. It's just entrenched. Like, you don't talk to anybody in America that has lived here their whole life, I should say that, and say, have you ever watched a WrestleMania? They're probably going to say, no, I've never seen one, but I know what it is. Of course they know what it is.
Or even when you bring up the term pro wrestling.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, immediately they'll use WWE or WWF as pro wrestling, very much like UFC and MMA. It's wrestling is WWE and vice versa to a lot of people. Like, oh yeah, I viewed that when I was a child. How often do you and I hear, oh yeah, I viewed that when I was in third grade, but
you still watch that? I get that every once in a while. You still watch it? It's like, it's still on.
But I know you and probably a lot of people listening and watching right now have that experience where you talk about wrestling, and in a lot of people's minds, it's just WWE, period. There's no AEW, there's no New Japan, there's no Impact, there's no ROH. It's just WWE is wrestling, wrestling is WWE. And again, like you said, Brad, I think in part that's due to Vince McMahon's credit, how he's built this up, how he's built this company up to be just such a major player in our culture. I mean, Brad, the damn ESPY Awards have an award specific for WWE now. It's mainstream. I will tell you, Cody Rhodes won that award, by the way, at this past week's ESPYs for a moment, as he should. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the progress that Vince has made in terms of putting wrestling on the map and making it so universally palatable globally, is it cannot be denied. And you and I, again, my original question was getting to this point of our fandom can be directly tied back to Vince McMahon and the work he put in to make WWE what it is now. Got to give him credit for that,
man. Yeah, you have to. Even if you, man, it's really hard knowing how the sausage is made when stuff gets out here, and you're like, I just wish it wasn't true. There was a storyline where he had somebody sign an NDA in the ring. He was just doing that shit in real life.
Right.
And it's just, it's icky.
And making Trish Stratus bark like a dog.
Oh my God.
You know, like we look back on that now, and I guess my ignorant, dare I say, horny 12-year-old self was just not really questioning. Never thought I'd say horny on air. Not really questioning this. Like, it's just entertainment. Yeah. But then again, like I don't mean to make this very obvious point, Brad, but that was only 20 or so years ago. Trish Stratus barked like a dog. I'm going to guess around 2002, give or take. With our 2022 viewpoint, I mean, Brad, if that was on a nationally syndicated wrestling program, could you imagine the pushback? That would be you are done if you put that on your TV now.
How many bra and panty matches were there? I vividly remember.
Yeah, I was here for it, but now that's not a good look.
I vividly remember going, "Oh my God, Jacqueline's boob came out," and it was a great evening for 8th grade me.
Yeah,
and
he's been there,
and you know, like watching all that back, I told you when I got back into it, I just watched all of the Attitude Era, and the entire time was going, holy shit, how did they air this? How did any of this stuff? What is Jenna Jameson doing here? Like in a promo with Val Venus.
No doubt. Stacy Keibler's in a mud wrestling match.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kiddie tubs full of mud or pudding or whatever other thing. Oh, the women's belt got thrown away, so no more women's matches. Just strip for us. It's gross. It was gross. Yeah. I was here for it. Like you said, like you'd hear that cat roar for Sable. Everybody was on their feet. Like you just were. My neighbor my buddy's dad had a Sable calendar in his garage. He's like 45 years old. Just I don't know how he acquired a Sable calendar living in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
But he did
in the 90s, but he damn sure did, and had it up because I remember going over there to help him fix his 56 Chevy, put in a new headliner and stuff. I was trying to learn a little bit and just hang out. And
Impala?
No, just a Chevy Bel Air. It wasn't even a Bel Air. It was just a Chevy. Yeah, it wasn't an Impala. And he had it up on his workbench. I could see like the bench grinder, and then up on the bench there was that. And then later it got replaced. I can't remember what it was, like Sports Illustrated or something. But yeah, I remember he had that Sable thing up there for years. It's just absolutely crazy. He didn't really care. He watched wrestling because we were watching wrestling. Then he watched wrestling because Sable might be on. But I would go over to Dave's house and we would sit down. We'd watch wrestling, and it was a fun Monday night. It was awesome, man. Mm-hmm. Vince gave that to us, and he also gave us the PG era. Well, shareholders did, and a lot of just jank shit that happened during that time. And having to sanitize John Cena. John Cena was not this boring. He just wasn't. The problem now is that we try to strive for consistency in our show. I think that's one thing that we talk about a lot is we just want to be consistent. And you can't say anything about WWE other than they are consistent. That's good or bad. Like looking at tonight's SmackDown card, lots of matches had run-ins or interference to help win or lose matches or stop matches. Constant run-ins, lots of the same thing. Character comes out, boom, 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 same old thing, moving on. Mm-hmm. That's why it's such a shocking moment when a character turns or shifts. Monday Night Messiah Seth Rollins is a little bit different than this Seth Rollins, but they're just different levels of the same character. But it's not like Shield Seth Rollins. That's a huge shift. So, but that all happened gradually. Bailey's shift changed pretty quickly, but that first couple of months, heel Bailey sucked, and then heel Bailey got good. Heel Bailey became the best thing in the WWE during the pandemic. We talked about this already, but I don't know, man. Like, was it Raw or SmackDown? I think it was SmackDown recently celebrated a huge milestone. It was like 1,500 or something episodes, something like that. It was like 1,500 or some huge number, but it was a milestone. It was something 500. They didn't acknowledge it. I think he forgot. Like, he's so in the moment, in the soup, that he doesn't necessarily plan things forward other than WrestleMania. WrestleMania gets planned out years in advance. I don't know that the storyline does, but WrestleMania itself gets planned out in advance. And because they have to, it's a huge traveling entertainment company. I mean, it's like bringing the circus with the Lakers every week. Like, that's just all it is. It's like,
yeah,
we're gonna get
accurate analogy.
We're gonna load up all this bullshit, and then we're gonna get the best athletes in the world on the bus. They're coming too. And by the way, make your own story and make your own gimmick, and or we're gonna give you one. It's gonna suck, but you're gonna make it work. Rusev Day, we the people. You're gonna have to figure things out for yourself, and it'll be great. But sometimes you're gonna have a hit on your hands. Sometimes it's going to be the best thing ever. Sometimes it's going to sell money. It's going to sell merch. It's going to be great, pal. And then we're going to have you come out in a box-like structure, and we'll never see your ass again. What the fuck?
I think that's that. Yes, to all of that. Also, the New Day, right? The pitch was they're going to be heel preachers. Total short shelf life city. This is going to last maybe 6 months and then be done. And to think that
how many years ago was that?
Right, exactly.
Like 8, 9
at least. To think that they transformed that. And then anytime I think of this now, of the origin of the New Day, my mind just goes to Kofi losing to Brock in 9 seconds on the debut of SmackDown on Fox. But we could go an hour on that, Brad. I think your point about Bray Wyatt there is a perfect transition for my last Vince McMahon related question for you. So, Brad, I saw your texts. I saw the tweets, my friend. How are you feeling about, where is your optimism at regarding the product now moving forward? Do you think we see a noticeable, a tangible shift in in programming for the better, or are you in more of a wait and see mode? Because I think you could probably list off at least 10 names of talent who you're hoping will receive a more substantial push under, say, Stephanie McMahon's leadership now.
I am cautiously optimistic. If I had to put a number on it, out of 10, 7, maybe 8. I can't really tell right now. Here's what I need. I need to know who is controlling the majority share. So if Vince owns most of the company and he has most of the voting power, but he's stepping down from all of his roles and responsibilities, does that mean he still has voting power? If that's the case, he will always have the ultimate influence on the creative direction outside of the TV sponsors and outside of the TV holders, the content holders. So if Fox has contractual rights or USA has contractual rights, what are they going to be pressuring for? This TV 14 shift seems to not. Okay, so when did that news drop? Last week?
Yeah. Feels like it was a month ago, but yes.
Okay. So last week, TV 14 news drops, but before that, it was decided that Vince was going to retire. They just kept it internal, according to reports. Check out Fightful Select, get all kinds of news from there. Great resource if you want to get stuff like this. Lots of people to follow on Twitter to get news updates, but Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select are good places to go. It's where we get most of our info. I feel like until they announce who's actually taking control permanently of creative, if Kevin Dunn is stepping down, and I guess talent is the same people that were telling him that they think that Laurinaitis is going to be out, which he was, is also saying that they think that Kevin Dunn will be leaving soon, which is the best possible thing that could happen. No more insane zooms and camera cuts. It's just too damn much. They ruined Edge's return because of that.
We didn't forget that Royal Rumble entrance.
It's just bad. Like all I can think is the only thing that has been worse for me has been AEW does it a lot. What WWE does. Let's show the crowd reaction rather than show the damn Tron so we can see what's going on. It pisses me off to no end, man.
Didn't they miss the spear in Edge's
They totally missed
his
it.
return to
he ran and then they cut away and I was like, what are you doing?
And then we just see the very end of the spear, like him celebrating his awesome. Yeah. How did you miss that?
It's Dax getting up on the top turnbuckle wearing white trunks, so you just get this huge ball shot of Dax Harwood. Yeah. Just absolute Sack City. What are you doing cutting to that camera angle? Like, that's all I could think the whole time. I think that every time I watch WWE, AEW does it a lot too. I don't know what gives in wrestling, but I guess my optimism is pretty high, but I don't know who's pulling the strings now. If they were, okay, so Tyler, if they were to announce tomorrow, Paul Heyman is taking over creative control. Bruce Pritchard will be producing most of the show, but Paul will have his hand in creative. Kevin Dunn is staying on, but they're going to change the direction. So maybe the shots will relax a little bit. Triple H as EVP will be heading back over to oversee NXT to work with Sean. And then boom, suddenly the ring is black and gold. God, I hope that happens.
We didn't even mention, you just brought it up for the first time on this episode. Triple H is back. Like,
yes,
WrestleMania, he came out. We were thinking, okay, Triple H seems to be riding off into the sunset, ? He's focusing on his health. And then fast forward, Brad, that was in what, April?
Stephanie McMahon left, stepping away to take care of her family. And then I'm back, bitches. I'm CEO.
It's only July. And the just the shifts that have been. And you look back at that WrestleMania now, this most recent one, and Vince McMahon being on that show makes so much more sense because you have to know that he was aware shit was going to hit the fan and he was just going to go down and go down hard. So he, in fact, did go down hard when he took that Stone Cold Stunner, Brad. I know you remember that at WrestleMania. The Stunner heard around the world.
It's hard to get out of my brain.
It's
in there like poison forever.
It was something to be. All of this just makes so much more sense now when you look back on it. Like, oh, of course, the puzzle pieces were being moved for this. Just, I mean, this is going to be one of the top wrestling news stories of the year, no doubt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Number one, probably.
Yeah. This is taking over. The with one exception, if a bombshell gets dropped after this about why he left.
This is true.
We still don't have a resolution to this. So
no,
and it will go public because it is publicly traded, and shareholders, even if it's an internal memo, it's going to be released, right? Like it has to be.
Absolutely.
What? So here's my I guess my last question for you. Where does Nick Khan fit into all of this? I mean, he is basically the contact point between Peacock and WWE, brokered those deals, was the one that was like, we're going to start cutting. These are all the cuts we need to make and all of those things. So
right.
What happens with the WWE, good or bad, under Nick Khan's, I guess, leadership?
Yeah, if Stephanie and Nick are now presumably sort of the top two faces in the company.
And are they 50-50? And what are their responsibilities? And it's confusing times, man.
Yeah. And I don't know that, Nick Khan is his name's associated with all negative. It seems like he has done some good stuff. I know he's been credited with the Day One pay-per-view, or premium live event, which I think is a really cool concept. Mm-hmm. But certainly the first thing I think of when you mention his name are the massive cuts that have happened. I think there's a hope now that will not be part of this new chapter for WWE. Yeah, that's a great question, Brad. I hate to give you an I don't know response, but that's going to be fascinating to see. Does Nick Khan operate any differently now that presumably him and Stephanie are in it 50-50?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. As opposed to, him being Vince's sort of go-to business guy. So I have hope that I just am so bothered by him releasing so much talent, right? Like we specifically had at least one or two breaking news episodes just about the massive WWE cuts and the people who have now gone on to be stars other places, when it's like, no, WWE, you could have had these people and you're raking in record profits. I think that's what's so interesting about Vince McMahon, is that if you're just judging him or analyzing him based on a business perspective, I think you can make a case that he's a hell of a businessman.
Yeah.
If it's all about profits and shareholders, etc., you can make a case there. But also, I don't think it's great to release people during the pandemic or when they just moved their lives from another country to Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Because you said that you said that they were signed and presumably they're going to be with you for 5+ years, or doing business dealings in Saudi Arabia,
or releasing people when they're injured.
I mean, the list goes, not unlike a lot of other business figures. It just, why does money have to be the dominant factor? I know that's your first priority for shareholders, but I would just appreciate some ethics and some how we treat each other matters. But then you have Stephanie. This is the last point I wanted to make, and of course, hear your thoughts. Then you fast forward to SmackDown. We're recording this on Friday night, soon to be Saturday morning. You have Stephanie open the show. It was announced on Twitter she's going to open the show. A lot of excitement, right?
Yeah.
So she comes out, and not unsurprisingly, I don't think we can give her too much of a hard time about this. She wants to acknowledge her dad and give some love to her dad. And she leads a "Thank you, Vince" chant. So on one hand, I think if this were my father, if I were in Stephanie McMahon's shoes, I can't tell you that I wouldn't do the same thing, Brad. But I was sitting on the couch watching this. And I told you this before we went on air, because you asked me if I watched SmackDown. And I said, hell no. I didn't say hell no. But I wanted to, because I caught the first 90 seconds. I saw that happening, that promo, and the crowd chanting "Thank you, Vince." And I said, nope, I'm good. On to Shark Tank. I don't need to see this propaganda. It was just a really sour way for me to begin the new era of WWE. I just don't need thank you, Vince chants in my life. But he is one of the main reasons why you and I became wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a yin and a yang here.
Yeah, and I have a couple of thoughts. How does Shane react to this? Number one. More importantly, how does Linda react to this? If I'm Linda McMahon and I'm on Twitter and I'm going, I love Donald Trump, and then suddenly a video crosses my timeline and it's my daughter leading a thank you chant for the man who is in hot water for what he's doing with women who aren't his wife. I just, man, I feel for her. I don't know what the relationship is. For all I know, that Linda ended it because she was cheating on Vince. I have no idea. Maybe they had an open relationship after the kids. I have no idea. It's none of my business.
Right.
But it made me uncomfortable thinking that it's out there. And it's like, when all of that is so public, I kind of want to have answers to know that everybody's okay in that situation. Because, like, I don't even know if Stephanie was comfortable doing that, or if she's out there as Stephanie McMahon CEO or Stephanie McMahon character who once was kidnapped and married against her will. Like, I don't.
Would not fly in 2022. No.
So I don't.
Not at all.
I don't know. But Tyler, I'm with you. I saw that online and I just said nope. And that's our transition out of this conversation and into the next one. For those of you who are still with us, thank you so much for sticking with us. We are 56 minutes and 10 seconds into this conversation. And Tyler said the magic word, the word of the day, and that is nope. If you have not seen this film, now's your time to bookmark. Now's your time to pause, stow it, go see it, come back, listen to our conversation, and maybe you'll have answers because I have some questions. Tyler, what the fuck is up with that shoe?
Yeah, the shoe just standing alone, defying gravity. We didn't really talk about how we want to lay this out. I think it's best if we just make it organic.
Yep.
So I know we could go an hour on this, but we will try not to. I was so eager heading into this movie. Jordan Peele is my muse. I love Get Out. I love Us. And I really love what he did with this film, Brad. I think you and I are in agreement that we need to see it a second, if not third time, to fully process. I saw it. We're recording this on Friday night. I saw it yesterday evening. You saw it just a few hours ago. And my top takeaways: Keke Palmer absolutely crushed
Incredible.
it. Not even a star-making performance because she's been a star, but this is for me one of the signature roles that I attribute with her moving forward. Shout out to Fry's Electronics. I felt a lot of nostalgia for that, and the Scorpion King orange hoodie that Daniel Kaluuya wore. Man, this was just completely unlike Get Out and Us. I think this was by far Jordan Peele's biggest risk that he's taken of the three, because I could absolutely see why this one was not as, or so far has not been as universally praised as his previous two. I think Get Out was obviously a smash success and just, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. How can you not think it's a masterpiece? Us, a little more controversial, not as much of a slam dunk for a lot of people. I think this was very much, you're either going to really, really dig it, or it's going to be your least favorite Jordan Peele film. And I don't think there's a lot of middle ground. I'm going to say this, and then I want to hear your thoughts, Brad. My favorite scene, I've reflected on it. My favorite scene in the entire film was not the monkey TV star just absolutely wrecking its co-stars, because that was extremely gruesome.
Top rope double axe handle.
I didn't love that. But I want to ask you about what the bloody fist bump meant shortly. Brad, you already know this. My favorite scene in the entire film. This is going to sound ridiculous because it was, I guess, pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. When we had the reveal of the aliens who were messing with the lights where the horses were staying, when Daniel Kaluuya went to check it out, shut the lights off, starts walking to go back inside the home, turns around in this barn-like structure, turns around, light and the reveal of an alien happens, Brad. I don't know about you and your theater, But when we first saw an alien-looking creature, and then the classic horror movie-esque, like they're in a crouched position.
Yes.
And I thought they were going to be like 8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
They just slowly start to stand up. And then our audience went, there was a clear, oh, this is absolutely an alien movie. There are alien people here to kill these characters. That was my favorite scene, man, because I think Jordan Peele just clearly was messing with us. We learned that the aliens are just the children from the Jupiter's Claim family, and Daniel Kaluuya punches one of them. By the way, great working punch, and the kid was fine. By the way, even though Kaluuya hit him with a knockout punch, or OJ is the character's name.
So later on, when they're at the Jupiter's Landing, and it's right before everybody gets sucked up. The kids, Wave said, "My kids are out here. They're going to perform for you," which I think those were his children.
Yes, with his wife,
and they're all dead. Came out of the barn, and one of them waved. They were all waving before they put on the masks, and one of them had a shiner. Did you catch?
Oh, I did not.
It's only up there for a second, and one of them's got a big red mark on their cheek.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. So it's fast. It's really fast.
So the reveal of one alien, and then a second alien appears. Again, it's the children just in costume, but we didn't know that at the time. I thought, oh my gosh, it's an alien movie. Let's go. The second alien appears, and then Brad. This was specifically the part I love when Kaluuya says, "Nope." After the second reveal and starts walking away, but then he takes out his phone, the old school Carl Siegloff phone. Shout out to those in Miranda who will get the Carl Siegloff reference. He pulls out the phone to take a video, and the very slow reveal of the alien peeking around the corner. For some reason, it just popped me. It was so slow, so methodical, and then again he turns around, he punches the other kid. But I walked into this movie thinking it was going to totally be about aliens, and it turns out it was not. I don't know how you would describe it, Brad. The villain, the monster, is this UFO looking saucer that I think you described it well before we went on air. I'm going to pass it over to you. It was sucking up people and absolutely murdering them. all for the sake of a spectacle.
Yes.
I want to hear your thoughts on everything,
including
that S word.
Which one? Spectacle?
Spectacle. Maybe we'll say that for the end in terms of what is Peele's message? What is his reflection on society with this? But I think we'll probably save that for the end.
It's hard to overgeneralize because we're going to go full English teacher if we do. I think.
What is your thesis statement?
Man, well, throughout it, you could see the very clear. They refer to it as a bad miracle, right? Like some miracles are bad.
Great line. What's a bad miracle?
Oh, so good. I think that's all the shoe was. The shoe was a bad miracle because throughout it's don't look the animal in the eyes. It's a challenge. And little Jupe underneath the table wasn't staring at the chimp. It was staring at the shoe the whole time.
Wow.
Until the chimp calmed down. He came over to him to give him the fist bump. And then they made eye contact. Then it was like, oh, that's my friend. And I think very clearly what they're saying there is, and this is, so at the very end of the movie, as soon as that happened, I looked at Jess and I went, they're all so going to die. Like that thing is absolutely, they're going to get it. And they're going to be like, we won, we figured it out. And then they're absolutely all going to get killed, or it's going to try to kill them because the whole commentary was like, you might think you have control, but you never do. Animal's going to animal. And the horse, highly trained horse, right in the beginning, right? Highly effective, highly trained horse. Boom. It's got spooked. Animal's going to animal. The chimp, there was the bang. Animal's going to animal. And then you had this thing, and it's like, no, you can't train that thing. That thing's just like a giant murder ass. Like it's a disc with a sphincter in the middle of it that is also a lung and I think an eye. And I don't know that. I don't know if it was eating them. It's so hard to know.
Well, that was so interesting. The only scene we got of really, it was great how Peele, if you remember in the intro when I think the cast was being revealed, we were sort of looking inside one of these, presumably, and then we find out later, like, what the hell is this? We're in like an AC duct. But then we find out later, okay, no, this is the monster.
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene? It was so fast when the people at the Jupiter's Landing Star Lasso show, when they got sucked up. Do you remember when we got that brief footage of them being sucked up, and there was something like sucking up someone's face?
Yeah.
That was all we got. I don't remember seeing anything else of what it was like for the people who were sucked up, and if they were mutilated, or we just got that one scene of them.
That thing was contracting as they went in.
Exactly.
And I think it just like kind of pulled them apart in there.
That's all we got, though.
And then just shat all of the gore all over the house.
Yeah. Like, and then their bloody remains their guts are flooding the Howard home. Right.
So the very, very beginning of the film, it starts out with the flashback and then goes to the ranch. Keith David, the pops out on the farm.
Shout out Keith David, yes.
And then it starts raining just nickel bullets and keys and metal all over the place, and it takes him out. Well, at the time I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. There's the magnetism or something from a spaceship, right? Like, because of course it's what it is, because it's a UFO. Looking back at it, it's like that. It was just pissing on his territory. That's all that was. It's him like shooting out excrement, because that's what it is, essentially, like the thing they can't digest. And it was raining it on top of that, but it wasn't because he was there. It wasn't because anybody else was there. It wasn't any of them. It was the horse. It was Ghost, who later on we hear Ghost out there making all that noise. Yep. He's just out there marking his territory. He's not one that can be trained. And I was like, he just marked his territory to death. Like that's what he did. He killed somebody by marking his territory. And then later on, he's like, yeah, that cloud's been there for like 6 months. But when they first go to Jupiter Station, they said this has been here for a couple of years now. Well, why did it fail? Why did it go empty? What happened here? Because if at the beginning of that, Keith David's character, what's their last name? I can't remember their last name.
Oh, Howard.
Is it?
Oh no, Haywood.
Haywood. I was like, is it Hayward? Haywood.
It starts with an H, but yeah, Haywood.
Yeah.
Haywood's horses, Hollywood horses. Yeah.
So it's all raining down at their ranch, but he said like they've been there for 6 months. But then Jupiter is new. It's relatively new in the last couple of years or so. But then things changed more alien in more recent times. I think that's what they said, but I just know it was like, hey, what happened to the Gold Run or whatever she called it when they went up to it? He said, well, that it's been like this for a couple of years. Tyler, if they have been sending out all the horses, because there's that line where he's like, oh, I just want to buy those horses back. He's like, yeah, about that. And then it just kind of became a throwaway line, not realizing that he's absolutely feeding this thing horses. I compared him to Betty White's character in Lake Placid, who is absolutely feeding this giant killer alligator like cows and shit. Totally the same deal here. And here's my question, Tyler. Where did the keys come from? Where did the nickels come from? So that's
a great question.
The only thing I can think is that either it's been picking people off in random spots, because the very beginning on the radio, it mentioned the hikers were missing.
Oh yeah, man, you picked up on a lot that I missed.
I'm telling you, man.
I think that's the answer. Yeah, was random hikers,
into my brain. Yeah, all the random
and
hikers,
house
right?
keys. Yeah,
yeah, because like, why even have that? Why bother even putting that into the film? Right. Like, it just now dawned on me that happened, because earlier I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, that's absolutely from the hikers. But yeah, man, like it's just been picking people off, and he thinks he's got it under control by giving it some horses. No, you never have control. That's the point.
Well, and that there's not really a concise way to talk about this film, because
absolutely not.
Like, I know we're not going to do it full service, regardless of what we try here, even though hopefully we'll do a fine job. I thought Angel, the character, was great.
Yes.
In these, I think Peele has a real knack for sprinkling in those comedic moments, even though this was a very creepy thriller. The character of Angel, I think it was played by Brandon Perea. Great job. Thought the character was awesome. The Fry's Electronics employee.
Smart dude. The barbed wire at the end.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston like.
Very much so. More on that on the next episode of GI. the sort of super team they formed of OJ Haywood, Daniel Kaluuya's
awesome,
character, which, by the way, his name being OJ, clearly a take on OJ Simpson. No, OJ Haywood was riding the horse in the end.
He was riding a Bronco. Yes.
OJ Simpson with the Ford Bronco.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that was obvious for you, but that was a takeaway for me. I think I actually got this from like a YouTube video I searched reviewing the film. I was like, oh, of course the character's name was OJ, intentionally going back to this idea of a spectacle, which I know we'll talk about very soon. We had the super team of OJ, his sister Emerald, again played by Keke Palmer. We had Brandon Perea, the actor who played Angel. And then we had Michael Wincott. Now, Brad, I admittedly was not familiar with his work. I believe he's a Canadian actor. He played Antlers Holst, who is a world-famous cinematographer. So those four were tasked with defeating this monster. I think they ended up giving them the name Jean Jacket.
Yes.
That was the name for the UFO saucer monster. Just that being the team that had to defeat this monster at the end of the film was so interesting to me, because it was totally a motley crew of different personalities.
My first thought when you brought up Antlers is why does Bruce Springsteen sound so gruff in this? And then I realized,
great voice box. Yeah.
Like, dude, I thought it was Bruce Springsteen, like, just, I don't know, older. And then I remembered where I recognized him from. Have you ever seen the 1991 film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
Absolutely not.
Okay, this is Guy Ginsborn from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I burned that tape out when I was a kid. I was like 9-10 years old when that movie came out. I didn't know what bad acting was. I just knew Alan Rickman was an asshole and Kevin Costner was the hero and Morgan Freeman was the best with a scimitar. Come on. I loved that movie. But Guy Gisborne, I hated his guts, and it was played by this dude. So this dude always ends up being some sort of like, I feel a little bit for him, but you're also a malevolent prick. And there's no in between. And that's absolutely what happened. It's like they did all of this to capture footage, and you're like, I think I'm just gonna get sucked into an ass. Like, what? It's just so. It's so frustrating.
It was disappointing. Like, they had the plan. It worked well. They called OJ
the Bailey buddies all over the field.
We didn't even talk about the Bailey. So much symbolism. Yeah. The Bailey buddies made a huge appearance. Unsung hero of this film. Again, we're kind of skipping a lot here.
Oh yeah, we're not going to get to everything. My God.
No, I wish we were. The film ends with Keke Palmer, again, Emerald and OJ, if we stick with the character names, the Haywood siblings standing tall, and Emerald saved the day. Brad, total misfit type character. Her and OJ were kind of at odds at different points throughout the film. They definitely showed each other some sibling love, but they were definitely disagreeing. Sibling rivals for sure. So she sort of undoes the. You would probably summarize this much better than me, so please feel free to jump in. She defeats the monster by coming up with this brilliant idea of untethering, I think is the best verb. Yes, untethering the cowboy Jupiter's Claim, Burger Boy looking
absolutely
statue.
Yes, fat boy.
And brilliant, because we learned, like you brought up a few minutes ago, that the UFO saucer jean jacket monster thing can't just consume everything. There are some things that it doesn't like and must spit back out.
Ceramic horses,
Or
cast iron horses, I guess.
Great scene, by the way.
Amazing.
When OJ was trying to get back to the home, and it was that was phenomenal.
Did it laugh? I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Did it laugh when it made that sound? Or was that just the sound? So we had
I thought it was just the sound.
It dropped through the thing and it was like, and it sounded a little bit like a chuckle.
I thought it was just the sound.
But it also sounds like the sound it made. So I said, I think it's just the sound. Just thinks it was a chuckle.
That was such a well-acted scene.
So good.
No, I was just moving to the end, because my last question is going to be, what does this all mean? Peele always has a larger message with his work, or several messages, depending on who you ask. So I wanted to get to there and ask you about the idea of a spectacle, and how this film is perhaps a reflection on our society today. But I was just going to mention how Emerald saved the day. The Burger Boy, Jupiter's Claim mascot, gets sucked up by Jean Jacket, but Jean Jacket doesn't like it. It explodes. OJ is there after all. He did not die. He did not get sucked up. And that's the end of our film. But Brad, of course, I want your thoughts on the ending. But considering how the movie started with a biblical quote about spectacle, and Peele is known for including biblical quotes in his work. He had Jeremiah 11:11 in Us, and right. Again, he's just one of the great artists of our time. Your thoughts on the ending, and furthermore, I don't know if this is too soon to ask you, but what do you think Peele's commentary or reflection is about society and about spectacles with Nope?
I don't know. I really don't. I've been racking my brain about this the entire time, because my takeaway was more along the lines of, well, maybe it is about this, us trying to find the moment and find the spectacle by ignoring our problems.
Tell me more.
I mean, the world's on fire. We had a global pandemic. There's flooding. There's fires. There's crazy weather everywhere.
Water.
Climate change is nuts. Like,
are we going to have enough water for the residents of Arizona and our neighbors? And
not enough water here. Too much water in other places. I don't know if Miami is going to be on a map in 10 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. We're an earthquake or a super volcano away from the end of everything. So it's just those things we can't really control, but we're not helping things by making everything hotter. And the Amazon rainforest was declared open for business in Brazil. So it's just being cut down at an alarming rate. The way that I look at this is that we have all these societal issues, but we're so intent on getting a camera on them, about getting the shot, about making fame for ourselves.
The Oprah shot.
The Oprah shot, that we aren't spending enough time actually solving the problem. And I think it was Angel in the house when they're having dinner that stops. Yeah, it was. And he says, what we're doing here is good, right? Like, we're going to end up saving lives. Like, it's the first time any of that gets brought up, because before that, it's, we got to save the ranch. We got to make money. We gotta get our fame. I'm an aspiring actress, all of this stuff. And at the end, it becomes, we have to stop this thing. It is killing people and it is bad. Sure, we still want that other stuff, but now we want it for more than just ourselves. And I think that's the crazy part, because at the end, that last shot was to go like, this thing exists and people need to know. And the cameras are all on her. And she's looking up at the sky like, why are you looking at me? Like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
And all she can care about is that her brother is still alive at the end of the fence, the cloud. Yeah. Righteous shot. Tyler,
great shot.
The film ends basically with the shot of a black cowboy. I am so excited about that. Like, I'm not, this is not hyperbole. I just think it's so amazing.
Yes, you're not being facetious. Yeah.
No, not at all. Cause like, the only other time I can think of something like that is Blazing Saddles. Like, and that's not the same thing. Even though I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love it. But I just thought that was such a cool shot. God, it was like so Western, right? Like, it was just, it's not quite Into the Sunset. It's more like Out of the Sunset, but it was so great. The dust literally settles and there's our protagonist standing tall and they have each other. And I think that moment was so great. Maybe getting past the spectacle part of it. We got the spectacle, but they got out of it. But the world is still just paying attention to the spectacle. So maybe it lies somewhere in there. I took a lot of time there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I wanted to make so many points. I should have written some of this down. So I wanted to mention, you brought up a really great nod that Emerald did get the Oprah shot in the end. She was the one who was able to take it at that spot in the Jupiter's Claim Park.
Great Chekhov's gun in the beginning, because I was like, what are they going to do with this well? Because
everything is intentional, right? Yes. Everything is so intentional. I need to see this movie again ASAP.
Yes.
And with you, hopefully, at some point.
Absolutely.
So I guess perhaps my final words on it. So spectacle, for me, it just made me think of how we are, like you said, pursuing that Oprah shot in our own ways, and really looking for fame and clout, attention, etc. And also just, uh, I don't know, man. I think this idea of a spectacle and us always looking for something that maybe isn't real or doesn't exist, or our quickest way to fame or a buck. I think that's kind of where my mind is at. I also, though, left reflecting on what this film says about grief and the different ways we grieve. I really found the juxtaposition of the characters of Emerald and OJ, the Haywood siblings, to be quite stark. Emerald was just incredibly charismatic and able to give the pitch at that Hollywood studio, and it was business for her. She was doing her thing. Whereas OJ, seemingly a stoic dude already, but he was clearly struggling with the death of their dad, not just from a business professional sense, since the dad was the face of the company, but just when you lose a parent, I would imagine that has to be one of the most difficult losses that someone can go through. So I don't want to lose sight of what this could be saying about grief and the different ways we grieve. But I feel like a lot of us already kind of think about that and process that, particularly after the last 2 to 3 years that we've been working through as a world together. But yeah, the spectacle, man, so interesting. Like this idea of us, my mind goes to, it's a reflection on how glued we are to technology, but I think that's way simplistic and isn't giving Jordan Peele enough credit. Just what an interesting plot twist of these people walked into their demise because they were looking up at this spectacle, at this rarity, at this your life is going to be changed if you look at this odd.
Yeah, they showed up for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are for sure my final words, Brad. You can tell me if this is totally off base. I think of an app like Snapchat, which I use very on and off. And clearly I'm off. I deleted it just the other day. When you go on there, and I don't know if you're super familiar with the app, but I'm going to sound like an old head. You go on there, you create your Bitmoji, you can snap with people, but then there's another section where it just feeds you the strangest headlines and clickbait items. It's like,
why I left.
It's like, look at this 400-pound guy with an 8-pack. Look at this woman who's very scantily clad dancing. It's like preying on the most insidious parts of what's going to make us click on this. It just makes me think of like how folks compete for our attention and want our attention, and how our attention and our eyeballs are currency, and perhaps leading to our demise because we're so focused on the 400-pound dude with an 8-pack, or the video of the woman somewhere who's just in a scantily clad outfit. Like we click on that and we spend hours of our day looking at that, but it doesn't really mean anything, and in fact is maybe doing us more harm. We could literally be doing anything else. I don't know about you, man, but I've thought about that a lot recently, of like, what is with Snapchat and these very random clickbait. They're just preying on our like horniness and general curiosity for spectacles and oddities. And Snapchat, correct me if I'm wrong, is like the most popular app, maybe only second to TikTok. And I feel like TikTok also does a lot of this.
TikTok does that a lot too. Yeah.
It's just oddities and spectacles, and this looks really effing strange. Let me click on it, and then 30 minutes later, I'm still scrolling. So I sound like an old head.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop there. I want to hear your final thoughts, my dude. And does any of that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. Okay. I haven't really thought of it that way. I society, maybe something about it, like what you said, especially social media, just chewing us up and spitting us out. I mean, it's a perfect metaphor, right, for what's happening in the film. I'm gonna have to look up that name quote from the Bible and figure it out, because I haven't read that in years.
I got you.
But I know it's also I know where it is in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament around Habakkuk, one of those really fast, like 2-pagers, 1-pagers in the Old Testament. So once you get to that part of the Bible, I don't know how familiar you are. We're talking like everybody's dying, everybody's going to die, shit's going down, and it ain't going to be pretty parts. 3-chapter segment from the Bible, sandwiched between Micah and Zephaniah. Okay. Let's see. I will pelt you with filth. I will treat you filth. Sound like my dad. I'll pelt you with filth. I'll treat you with contempt and make you a spectacle. I'll make you a spectacle.
That was the film.
And that was the film, man.
Pelt. We talked about that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Pelt you with filth. I will treat you with contempt and make you a spectacle.
The man's a genius.
He gets pelted with the beginning of the raining of keys and money, literally showering money down, which I think is phenomenal. Like, it's money is coming from the heavens, and it's bleep you money. It's literally like, I'm going to kill you with this. And then showering you with filth. Oh, the house, man. The house.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a very scary moment.
Oh my God.
I think this is for sure one of those films that you have to see in a theater if you're able to and feel comfortable going out. Yeah, the communal experience, the sort of IMAX presentation of the audio, the visuals, etc. This was just, I'm so happy that Peele and company took a chance with this. This feels like a very risky movie to me because, like you said, Brad, it's a Western, it's sci-fi, it's a horror. It's just this really unique blend of, much like Get Out and Us. To me, this is so successful because I can't think of a movie that is comparable to it in terms of its style, its presentation.
Yeah.
Certainly Peele is influenced by the Kubricks and other and the movie Jaws, right? Spielberg, and he's been on record saying those are muses for him. But this was another film on his resume where I left thinking, I've not seen a movie like Nope before.
No, and the music gave me definite Signs vibes. The music gave me definite Signs vibes. And the way that it was kind of focused on an isolated communal thing, where Signs was mostly just that one family and then that one house. I love that movie. That's a hit or miss for people, but I love that movie. That's what I appreciated about this, is that you have the scope of the mountains and the open ranges and the sky and all of this, but ultimately it was a ranch, a fries, and like a what's the place in Tucson? I can't remember the name of the place. There's a like a cowboy ranch place, Pinnacle Peak, over in Tucson. That's very much what I thought of Jupiter Station. There's a Pinnacle Peak kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? So those are our 3 set pieces. It's really nothing. So much so that when TMZ guy, that Daft Punk TMZ comes out on his electric bike, that he says that the Google Maps, everything is all fuzzed out on Google Maps. You can't even see anything out here. So I love that. I love that. It's perfect. It's so unique. I've never seen anything like it. I doubt we ever will again. It was incredible. Maybe Sharknado is up there with the raining of things.
Yeah. We love a Sharknado reference.
My apologies to everybody involved with Nope for that comparison.
We're definitely talking 2 different levels there. Absolute apples and oranges.
10 different levels.
But I'm down for a Sharknado reference.
I love Sharknado, but I don't love it because it's good. I love it because it's terrible.
Embrace the mess. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Brad, well, we are closing in on the 90-minute mark, man. Yep. I think you and I will be talking about this film to each other and with others at several occasions over the next few weeks and maybe even years to come. I think Jordan Peele did it again with his art. I'm so grateful that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And hopefully, if our listeners and viewers have seen it, they will join in on the conversation. You can find Brad on Twitter at Winduster. You can follow me at Tyler J. McDowell. You can follow us GI Pod 19 at 19M Group. You know the crew. follow, support, check out the work that not only we are doing, but our colleagues over at 19 Media Group. Brad, those are the plugs. Any final words before I close us out here?
Nope.
You did it, man. You're a genius. Jordan Peele's a genius. You're a genius. I'm so glad we got to talk some Vince on this really historic day, for better or worse. We got to talk some Nope, and hopefully you all will join us on the next episode of Gimmick Infringement. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.